Welcome back to another episode of Life After Corporate, my friends. And if you're new to our show, welcome home. This is your first stop on this journey from making the leap from corporate leader to transitioning to successful entrepreneur. So if that's you and you are looking to take your years of expertise and package them and sell your services as an independent coach or consultant, this is the place to be. And today, we're talking about, is Facebook dead for marketing? Or is there still a ton of opportunity available in that platform that you're overlooking? And my guest today is Tracy Beavers. Tracy is the CEO and founder of Tracy Beavers Coaching. She has a proven track record in business growth with an award-winning career spanning 20 years. She has guided hundreds of entrepreneurs to grow their business visibility through organic marketing strategies. She's a public speaker, a published author. She's been featured on multiple media outlets, and she is the creator of the top-ranked business podcast, Create Online Business Success. And she's a good friend of mine and sister in the Entreprenista League. So welcome to Life After Corporate, Tracy Beavers.
Thank you so much for having me. Every time somebody reads my bio, I just want to look around and go, who are they talking about?
I know, right? So that's a real thing, right?
It is a real thing.
And do you ever go into public places or in-person events and people know you mostly from Zoom and they look at you and they say, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to you in person."
Yes, that happens a lot. Or they listen to the podcast and then they're like, and I'm talking to them and they're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm listening to the podcast. It's like growing up when you listen to a radio DJ every day and then
Mhm.
you would meet them in real life and they were talking to you and you're like, I feel like I'm listening to the radio. Yeah, totally. Or they'll say, you're a lot shorter than I thought you'd be. That's always funny.
I usually get, "Wow, you're really tall."
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, because you get a visual of somebody
Yeah.
about what they're gonna look like. At least they don't say, "Oh, you're a lot fatter than I thought."
All right. So, this is real and let's bring this home and
Yeah,
relevant because visibility matters.
it does.
And
It
how
does.
you're visible both in podcasts and podcast guesting is a great way to increase your
Yeah.
visibility. Being online, organic marketing is a great way to increase
Mhm.
your visibility. So I'm excited to dive into the Facebook conversation today. But before we
Me
do,
too.
I want to know about your life after corporate story. What were you
Yeah.
doing before you dove into entrepreneurship? And what was that
Mhm.
call like for you?
Oh, you're not gonna believe this story. I still can't believe it sometimes. So I'm old enough that I was raised in the generation where you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you graduate, you get the job, you stay in the job because they said, do not job hop. You're gonna stay in this job for about 40 years, and then you're gonna get a retirement party with a cake, a gold watch, and a pension. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore. I don't even think pensions are a thing. So I was so excited about my corporate career even though some of the things I had to do were not a good fit, even though, it took a little bit to find my groove, especially being in marketing and sales and business development. That was my jam. Sales has always been super easy for me and fun. So I was gaining market share. I was growing portfolios. I had an award winning career. And oh my gosh, I was working for a CEO. So I moved over from a bank to a title company to do business development because they needed market share. They came in de novo, didn't have a book, needed the growth. And so I grew them 86% the first year I was there. And then we were on track to grow another, I don't know, 38, 40% the second year. And the CEO actually had the nerve to say to me, he didn't think I was going to be that successful. And he felt like he was paying me too much money and he was going to change the commission structure for me and all the other business development people in the state to suit the company, basically. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, I knew coming into corporate, I didn't have any control over my time. It's 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever. You get a 1 hour lunch, you get so much PTO. But I felt like I always had some sort of control over my money because I had a commission structure. You eat what you kill. No, apparently not. And I sat there and I thought, well, this isn't going to work. I knew I couldn't work for him anymore. And
Right.
then I was like,
Amen to
okay,
that.
yeah. I'm like, okay, now what am I going to do? And I was in a women's mastermind at the time. It wasn't business related. It was really personal life coach related to all the women that were in there. They were in there for different reasons. And so, thankfully, the small group I was with, they knew me really well and they knew my track record. And I was telling them what was going on, and they were all like, "You got to be kidding me." And then I said to them, "What am I going to do?" And they said, "Well, you probably need to work for yourself." Well, my dad made entrepreneurship look terrible. Like it was a grind. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do that. But they helped me see that sales, I just thought sales was easy for everybody because it was easy for me.
Mm.
And they were like, no, it's one of the hardest things you could ever do. And I was like, really? And then they were like, you should consider taking your gifts and talents and being a coach. Well, Deb, I'm in Arkansas and we're a little slow on the trend for everything. And I looked at them and I said, that's a thing. And they were like, yeah, that's a thing. And I was like, well, who knew? And so I started doing some investigating and research. Turns out it's a thing. And I started building alongside my corporate job because I couldn't fully exit. I was making a really good
Mm.
salary, even though it was getting trimmed. And my husband was on board, but he was like, babe, we've worked so hard to get our retirement on track and be able to retire at 62 and da 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 da. He's like, I can't be on board if we're going to derail that. So, I really had to get my ducks in a row and make sure that I didn't derail our finances, that I didn't upset the apple cart for the kids. Because at the time they were in high school and middle school playing all the sports.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be really strategic. But I started here with my local market with people who knew me, because people really were always asking me, how are you growing these businesses so fast? How are you, why are people saying yes to you all the time? and so and so I started helping people, and it evolved. And when I figured out about the online space, didn't know that was the thing, and started following some online entrepreneurs, I was like, wow, I could have a global business. I mean, my brain was just like, poof.
Yeah.
And so it's evolved into what I have now. So I was able to leave my corporate job about a year and a half after I started building. Actually, that last corporate job left me because the office closed.
Yeah.
And
And
I was
how
like,
prescient was that, the idea that was planted in you? And so there's so
mhm,
many like little lessons I want to pull out of what
yeah.
you just
Oh,
said. Number one,
yes.
surrounding yourself with the right people who
Yes.
really see you, and that we all need cohorts of people who see us more
Mhm.
clearly than we see ourselves.
Exactly.
The second one is, the underappreciation of women's talents in corporate. I mean, this is why there is this huge exodus from corporate
Yeah.
that who isn't tired of being underestimated and underpaid,
Right.
and having to color within the lines and fit inside the box, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So in sales you have a little bit more leeway, but
Yeah.
you and I have similar backgrounds. I started in sales and then went into marketing because it was more my jam, and
Yeah.
then product development. But the other thing is that you created your business while you were still employed. And I
Mhm.
think that is an underutilized strategy
Mhm.
for most women entrepreneurs. Now, it depends on your job. You
Yes,
have to have the
for sure.
capacity to be able to carve out enough hours to move this new needle forward
For
so that
sure.
you can make that transition.
Yeah.
So, and then it was made for you. So that's,
Yeah.
and usually because I believe entrepreneurship is a spiritual journey, that you're tapped on the shoulder, you get a niggle in your heart. There's
Well,
something intuitively that says, there's more for me here.
right.
And so when you pursue that, the universe kind of conspires in your favor. But
Yeah. Sure.
you're absolutely right. I mean, sales is the lifeblood of your business. And before we dive
Yeah.
into Facebook, why
Mhm.
do you think sales is so hard, especially for women entrepreneurs? Like, let's,
Because
yeah.
yeah, because we feel like we're taking something from somebody else, and we need to flip that to we're giving something to somebody else. Because the truth of the matter is, you and I have gifts and talents that will help women build businesses and chase their dreams and achieve what they want. And if we do not offer it, that is disrespectful, in my opinion, to the God that gave me the gifts and talents. So we truly think that we are, nobody wants to be the salesy salesperson. I think there's a lot of bad salespeople in the world that have given us a bad taste of sales. And so I think just the word sales has a negative connotation. I wrote it. The live training I'm doing this week is about sales. I have a friend coming in to talk, a guest expert on sales. And the email I wrote to my list, I said something about reply back and tell, because the first word of the email was sales. And then I went into what I was going to talk about. And so at the bottom, I said, reply back and tell me what happened to you when you read the first word of my email. And people were replying back going, I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I, gasped for air. I went, ooh, you know what I mean? It was just hysterical. But that we have this visceral reaction, most people do, to the word sales. And I truly think it's because we feel like we are asking other people to give us money. And again, I feel like we need to flip that. I am sharing my gifts and talents with other people. It is their decision if they buy it or not. I am not trying to convince anybody of anything. My
Yeah.
job is to make that connection, see what they need. How can I help them? Let them know, oh, it sounds like you need XYZ. I happen to sell XYZ. If you'd like more details on it, let me know. And then it's
Mhm.
their job to say yes or not. And I can't control that. So
Yeah.
we
And
we
you
need
know
to,
what? This is what drives me crazy because there's so much psychology on both sides of that conversation,
yeah.
right? So on the conversation of the person who's making the offer,
Mhm.
that sense of worthiness. Am I worthy enough to
Mhm.
receive the amount
Mhm.
of money I am asking for in exchange for my services?
Right, right.
And the same thing is happening on the other side of the table, which is, am I worth investing in?
Mhm.
And so both people are getting triggered at the same
Yes.
time based on the same issue.
Yeah.
And so the sales training is, in my
Mhm.
mind, about separating yourself
Mhm.
from making the offer, and for the people that we're making offers to show them the value in
Mhm.
themselves that
Yes.
they already have, that they're not capitalizing on, that they're leaving on the table
Mhm.
because they're afraid to invest in their talents. And no
Yeah.
one gets out of this without investing. Like, tell me,
Correct.
like, give me a number. Like, how
Correct.
much do you believe you've invested
Oh,
in your
wow.
skills building and coaching in the 7 years since you got the idea to launch a business?
Let me think real quick. Um, Probably 20, 25,000 or
Okay.
more.
All
I mean,
right.
I try to run at a 50% profit margin if possible, 50, 60%. But I had a couple of years in the beginning where the profit margin was not that much. $6,000 for the first coaching program I joined. I think I wasted $10,000 two different times on paid ads, total 10,000 on that lovely experience. I've paid $2,000 for another program. I'm in a program right now that's 300 a month. So yeah, I mean, more than that maybe.
Yeah.
I never thought
Well,
about
I
it. I
am a
should go
big
back and
risk
look.
taker, so mine is more like in the six-figure range. So,
I'm a little more careful.
yeah. Well, I feel like I've gotten the return on investment. So for
Yeah, for
me, it
sure.
was, not all of them were great
Right,
investments. Yes, I made
right.
a $30,000 mistake,
Uh-huh.
but you've got to just dust yourself off and
Yeah.
keep moving on.
Well, that's
But
one of the reasons why I wanted to build alongside my corporate job because I
yeah.
didn't want the stress of the money. And one thing I want to share really fast, if I can, because I think
Mhm.
this is going to be super valuable for your audience. When I was sitting there thinking about building this business, I had an all or nothing mentality about it.
Mhm.
I thought I either have the corporate job or I don't have the corporate job. And it dawned on me that I could do both at the same time. Granted, working for the right employer, as you mentioned, but also what I did was I took a step down approach.
Mhm.
So I started building, and so first of all, I trimmed all the bills that were fluff for me that I knew I could do without,
Mhm.
so that I knew my enough number. And then I started building the business, and as the business grew, I took a lesser corporate job.
Mhm.
It grew some more. I took a lesser corporate job. It grew some more. I was able to leave. And so I want to share that because I know there are women out there that want to leave corporate, but they think it's either I stay or I go. So I hope that's helpful.
It is helpful. And, I did a lateral too. I was managing a huge team and a
Mhm.
line of business, and I was responsible for that P&L. And I never could have launched my business or even gotten the education that I was doing at that point to launch a
Mhm.
business and still have that job. So I did a
Yeah.
lateral, to an individual contributor role where It was
Yeah.
much more manageable. So,
Yeah.
I think that's super helpful to the people who are still in corporate
Mhm.
and those who are also feeling like they're on the skinny branches right now, that they've, taken the leap and now here we are in 2024,
Mhm.
2025 and the world is different and
Mhm.
we can talk about that if we have time at the end as well.
Sure.
So let's dive
Sure.
into Facebook. A lot of people
Yeah.
are saying, oh, I'm not on Facebook, I don't use Facebook anymore, I don't like Meta, I don't like Mark Zuckerberg.
Yes.
So tell us why you think Facebook is still a massive marketing tool that many people are underestimating for growth in business.
That's an excellent question. I'm so glad you asked. So for me, I don't love the people that own these platforms. I don't love every decision they make at the company level. Um, but what I have to recognize and what I hope I can help the audience recognize is that Facebook is a massive marketing tool for your business if you're in the online space like we are, and you're leaving money on the table if you don't consider it. So I have to put my feelings aside because I have a business to build and I want to go where my audience is, and everybody's audience is on Facebook. Um, there's a lot of chatter right now of people, I'm leaving Facebook. You know what, Deb? They'll be back because this platform offers things that other platforms don't. And when it comes to sales, we'll talk about this, I know, in a minute, but Facebook groups, oh my gosh, that's where the conversions are made. So just from a statistical standpoint, though, Facebook is the number one platform. There's 3 billion monthly active users globally. So it is the most used social media platform. And in the United States, the statistic I've seen lately is like 73.9% of internet users use Facebook, whether they want to admit it or not. And then that projection is supposed to rise like by 2027, the projection is supposed to be around 76%.
Wow.
So, when it comes to females too, 53% of adult Facebook users are women. And the age range is the largest age group, which this surprised me, is 25 to 34. I thought all those people were over on Instagram.
Yeah, me too.
So, and then when it comes to Facebook groups, just a statistic I'll share, 1.8 billion people engage with Facebook groups every month,
All right,
whether they are
let's pause
lurking
on
or they're,
Facebook groups
yeah.
because I've never been successful with Facebook groups. I will just share because I don't know. I launched one a number of years ago and
Mhm.
then I kept using the same group. I would rename it and people would discover it or I'd invite
Mhm.
people to join it, but there was never any interaction. There was never any magic there, and I felt
Yeah.
like I was shouting into the void. And
Yeah.
so just vulnerable share here, one of the reasons why I'm not on Facebook is I was never able to really make Facebook groups work for me.
Yeah.
And now people are saying that even when you post, no one in your group is seeing what you're posting, and
No,
then
that's not
it's
true.
annoying at everyone, and I am so sick of getting so and so mentioned you and others in a comment. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sick of those at everyone kind of things."
Yeah,
So, help us
totally.
understand what
Yeah.
good looks like in using a Facebook group to grow your business.
Oh, I love this question so much. And listen, you are not alone. Okay, there is an art to creating, and I almost don't even want to call it a Facebook group. I prefer to think of it as a community
Mhm.
because what we're creating is a community. We're not creating. I also like to say there's a difference between a Walmart experience and a Nordstrom experience, right? You
Mhm.
walk into Nordstrom, they greet you, they walk you wherever you want to go, they ask you if you have anything else. Sometimes they offer you wine. I mean, it's a great experience. This is what we're cultivating if you want to have your own free Facebook group. But also I hope we'll talk about other people's Facebook groups as a visibility strategy as well.
Mhm.
But having your own free Facebook group, it does take intention. It does take work. Now, the reason why we have over 3,800 online entrepreneurs. We're growing by hundreds every month. And there's strategy behind that. My analytics show that the engagement is generally around 50 to 60%.
Wow.
My audience is seeing my post in my group because my engagement level is so high. But there's strategy behind what we offer in that group to cultivate the engagement to be high. And sometimes it is the simplest things that we post that get the most engagement. And here's an example. We posted, do you like a PC or do you like a Mac? Just being silly. I thought, let's see what happens. There were people arguing in the comments over it. Was people have such strong feelings about. We did one, pencil or pen. Once
Mhm.
again, strong feelings. What color is your favorite sticky note color? Yeah. So sometimes it's not the stuff that we spend hours cultivating and creating for them. It's the simplest things that create that community of engagement. Because what you're doing when you have a Facebook group, this is how I visualize it. I visualize you are coming into my home, and I'm gonna welcome you when you join my Facebook group. I send you a friend request, and I send you a really warm welcome DM. Deb, I'm so excited to see you. Welcome to the Be a Confident Entrepreneur group. I'm gonna send you the free thing that you asked for, and then I'm gonna open up the conversation because I want to know one of the questions I ask when you come into my group is, what is on your plate? What is a goal you have in the next 3 to 6 months? And if you tell me I want to launch a podcast in the next 3 to 6 months, I'm going to ask you, do I do that? No, but I have an opportunity to serve you. And I'm going to say, do you have somebody that's going to help you with that? And you could say, no, I'm clueless. And I'm going to be like, okay, if you want me to, I will introduce you to 3 people I know that help people launch podcasts. Would you like me to do that? Yes. Did I make a sale? No, but I made a connection and I made a
Mhm.
relationship, which is the key to sales. And I've welcomed you into my home. Deb, come on in. The cocktails are over here. The piano's over there. People are out back playing, whatever. And it's it's that experience that we're looking for if you want to create a free Facebook group. And it sounds like it takes a lot of time. It really doesn't once you kind of get it rolling and you know who's coming in and what's going to serve them best. And the reason why my Facebook group grows my email list so much is because the way that we have the membership entry questions set up. You want to give me your email address when you come in because of the way I have the questions written. And then my Facebook group grows so much because every time you turn around in my funnels, there's an invitation to my free group. And if I'm in the DMs with you because we met in a networking session, at some stage, I'm going to invite you to my free group. And so the group growth takes strategy and intention, making sure you promote it, making sure you showcase it, making sure you mention it on podcasts, all that stuff. And then
Mhm.
it can grow your list. And for me, it's a home run because I am offering this free group to online entrepreneurs who want support. They want to feel less alone. And they also want places where they can promote their offers. And so I was really worried when I said to the group, you guys can promote your stuff anytime. You're adults. You can do that. I was afraid it was going to turn into a spam fest. It
Yeah.
hasn't.
Oh,
It
wow, that's
hasn't because,
amazing.
well, I attract people that are like us,
Mm.
that are really warm, kind people who just want to support others, and we'll promote when it's necessary. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? And I've only had to kick 2 people out all these years of having my group, because they were Spammersons, and I just DM'd them and said, this group's not for
Family
you.
Spammersons. I love that,
So
Tracy.
thanks.
So, how much automation do you use behind the scenes? Is a lot of that automated?
Let me think. So, yes, in the funnels, the invite to the group is automated. Membership entry questions are automated. However, you can automate the membership entry questions where, depending on the email service provider you have, you can create a way to have them automatically go onto your list, so you don't have to do that part. I
Mhm.
choose to do that part because I really want to know if they're already on my list, and I also want to know, how did they find me? Because I can
Mhm.
see by the tag if they're already on my list. Did they find me from a bundle? Did they come to one of my live master
Yeah.
classes? How warm is this person coming into my world?
Mhm.
And so I choose to do that part. The content that we create, when I first started alongside the corporate job, there was there were not very many people in the group. It was like me and my husband, who's an admin, and he's still like, why am I an admin of this group? And then I think my mom was in it, and my sister, and you know what I mean, how
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
exactly.
everybody please come to my party just to make it look good. But I only had the bandwidth to post 3 times a week,
Mhm.
but it was enough to get it started. And because of the way I was inviting people, it was enough to get them intrigued to say yes. And but now, speaking of the automation, now I have an assistant who we work together to create the content. She knows the flow every week. She has the content bank to pull from. I do schedule my own posts in my own group because I want it to post as my name.
Mhm.
and not hers, because I don't want to lose the community feeling of it's Tracy Beaver's group.
Mhm.
So there is a lot of manual to it, like accepting people into the group and doing the welcome post every Thursday. But for me, it's so fun because
Oh, that's amazing.
it's
Yeah,
my
that's
party. It's my
yeah,
party.
yeah.
You know,
You get to play.
I get
That's
to play.
amazing.
Yeah.
And, so what else? So the group, and
Yeah.
what was key at what point did you hit that flywheel effect where, the
Mm,
group was kind of growing exponentially on its own, and what was the key to
mm.
that?
Yeah, great question. So, the strategies that I teach are all organic. Facebook, having your own group is one of them. And with the strategies I have, like you just mentioned, the goal is to get things going on a flywheel where your leads are coming in and your list is growing automatically every day. And so that took, well, because I was still building alongside my
Mhm.
corporate job and I didn't have my funnels dialed in. When I did that is when it really started to take off organically. Because when you opt in for one of my free lead magnets, on the thank you success page is a quick video from me inviting you to my group. And then when you get the lead magnet, when I email it to you, in the email is an invitation to my group. In the lead magnet itself is an invitation. I like every time you turn around in my world, you're going to be invited to my group until you say yes.
All right. I want to just pause
So,
right there because everyone needs to just write that down because what happens is, and I'm guilty of this as well, is we build funnels over time and
mhm,
then we invent and create new outlets for people to
mhm,
engage with us. And we don't
mhm.
go back and update those funnels. I
Right,
mean, duh,
right.
right?
I know. I'm guilty of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we have AI, so,
Mhm.
there's no excuse not to
Right,
keep your funnels fresh, so you've just added to
right.
my to-do list. Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah, and even if you don't have a free group, what I ask my students is when they're creating a lead magnet, okay, cool. They've opted in for the lead magnet. We've given it to them. What's the next thing you want them to have? We want our ideal clients to stay caught up. My friend Crystal Profit calls it a spider web, in the spider web of you, in the swimming in your pool. And so when you get the lead magnet, awesome. What's the next thing you can give them
Mhm.
in that email or in that lead magnet? And that's where, like you're saying, we forget to do that.
Yeah, yeah, we have other things we give them, but we
Yeah.
don't we launched the community last December, so we have a
Mhm.
community called Life After Corporate on a separate
Yeah.
platform that's a
Mhm.
paid for community,
Right.
and, so we're having fun playing with people over there. But
Yeah,
let's
nice.
let's get back to Facebook and,
Yeah.
what's most important, your personal profile or
Mhm.
your Facebook page?
Got it.
And do you need both?
My opinion, yes, you need both. So because okay, so the personal profile is the most important one. The Facebook business page years ago used to work in our favor. Years ago, the algorithm would push it out, would show it to new people, all of that jazz. Now it doesn't do that anymore. But my opinion as a coach is that it is still very key. And the reason why is because we are running businesses. We are legit, serious CEOs, and we want to comfort people as much as possible that possibly want to give us their money. So seeing a Facebook business page, in my opinion, is is credibility of you being a serious CEO, you've got a legit business, and it's comforting to people that are considering hiring you. Just to see that extra step. Now, you don't have to create a lot of content for the Facebook business page. The nice thing about it is it's free. Once you get it set up, you probably don't have to touch it. Throw a couple of pieces of content on there, one piece of content a week, because it really, again, it doesn't do much for us. But the nice thing is you can, and I do this every Friday. I go in and everybody that I've got that I'm friends with from that last week, they get an invitation to follow my Facebook business page. And so, while it doesn't do a lot for us, in my opinion, is it's still very important.
Mhm.
The Facebook personal profile, though, is the thing that you need to focus on. If you're only going to do one of those things, the personal profile is more important. And the reason why is because when somebody goes to look you up on social, let's say you met them at a chamber luncheon or a Rotary luncheon, and Facebook is their platform, and they're like, "I'm going to go look up Tracy Beavers." They're not going to find my business page. We want them to find my personal profile. And also, the other thing that Facebook offers that other platforms do not offer is groups. We just talked about me having my own free Facebook group, but one of my visibility strategies is being highly visible in groups where my ideal clients are hanging out, where my collaboration partners are hanging out, even the ones that don't allow promotion. I get a lot of leads and list growth from those, just from the strategy that I teach. Now, when you go into a free Facebook group, the owner of the group gets to decide, can you join under your business page or not? 9 times out of 10, in my experience over the years, the owners do not want you joining as a business page because they want human to human interaction in their groups.
Yeah,
So you're
makes
going to
sense.
have to join as your personal profile. And so one of the strategies I teach is just being of service in these groups. I am there to help answer questions. I am not promoting anything. I am cheering people on. They get curious about me. They click on my name. They're going to go to my personal profile. It is very important that that personal profile be fully dialed in so people see exactly who I am, who I serve, how I serve them. And when you set it up the right way, it's a list growth funnel for you. That's one of the other ways that my free Facebook group and my list grow by hundreds of people every month. 85% of the people that come to my group, I've never met them. They've seen me in other groups. They've clicked on my personal profile.
Yes.
They've gone there and they've seen the invitation to the group, and there we go.
There you go. How
So
many
that's how it starts
hours
to
a
happen.
week do you spend on Facebook, both in other people's groups and in your own group?
I love this question because people think I am in there 24/7 and I am not. Like, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to be on a platform 24/7. But I'm very strategic about the groups I'm in and I'm strategic about my time. So for my free group, I do have post approval turned on just because when somebody posts, first of all, I want to make sure it's appropriate. Second of all, I kind of want to get a read of what's going on in my group. What are people asking about? And if I can help that person, I want to be the first person to comment, right? And so I might get 4 or 5, no, eight posts a day in my group that I just need to approve, but I'm just skimming them, clicking. That takes 30 seconds. I, with the free Facebook group strategy, um, I help my students pick out 3 to 5 groups, not more than that. I got overzealous when I first started this strategy and I picked out like 10 groups and then I was exhausting myself and I was like, this is for the birds. So I was like, Tracy, you picked out too many. You got to dial that back, sister. So 3 to 5 groups and you just pick, like you could go in on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, set a timer. You can even bookmark the groups so you don't actually have to go to Facebook and get sucked into the feed. You can bookmark the group where it's at a tab on the top of your toolbar, and you can just scroll down, go straight to that group, go straight into that group, look and see the last few posts. Where can you be of service? And where can you answer a question? And 5, 10 minutes, and you're out. But you don't have to be in there every day because the nice thing is when you are intentional about this, let's say you go in on a Monday to a group, you probably don't have to go back into that group until Wednesday or Thursday, unless somebody comments on what you did, then you want to interact. You'll get a notification of that and then you want to interact. But by the time you get back in there Wednesday, there's not that many new posts. So you're really just kind of picking up where you left off and looking to see what's going on.
Yeah. Great strategy for getting on other people's platforms.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of webinars, workshops, and speaking on
Mhm.
other people's platforms. And this is kind of the
Yeah.
same thing, which is,
Mhm.
you want to go where everyone knows your name and they're always glad
Yeah.
you came. It's like cheers. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
Tracy.
Right.
An effective strategy for you. So, you've covered a lot, and I appreciate you sharing so openly with our listeners how they can be leveraging their Facebook presence in ways that they're probably not doing today. How
Mhm.
can people learn more about you and perhaps even work with you on their Facebook growth strategy?
Yeah, I have a podcast. So if they're listening to this one, that means they love podcasts. I would love for them to listen to mine. It's called Create Online Business Success. And fun fact, my son is my podcast manager. So when they listen, if they love the audio, send me a DM and tell me, and I'll tell Jack, and it'll make his day. He loves it when people say that the audio sounds good because that is all him. But then my free Facebook group, obviously, it's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. Just search for that. There's a longer title to it, but just search for that or go to my Facebook personal profile, Tracy Lane Beavers, and you'll see it. You'll see it there.
And we'll put all those links in show notes so that you can just click right through and get more of Tracy Beavers. Tracy, thank you so much for being here today. It was such a fun conversation. I've learned so
Great.
much from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, my friends, that's it for now. If your people are on Facebook, and according to Tracy, they are, everyone is on Facebook in some form or fashion, then you're doing your business a disservice by not focusing on your presence there. And I know I learned a couple of things that we'll incorporate into our social media strategy starting next week. So, Brittany, if you're listening, be prepared. And that's it for now, my friends. Would love to hear from you. Are you using Facebook in your business strategy? Drop us a note on LinkedIn. That is our primary platform. Drop me a DM on LinkedIn and let me know what is your favorite social media platform, and connect with Tracy there as well. So thank you so much, my friends. We will see you next time on Life After Corporate.